Hello, welcome to FlowerJoos. My name's John McDonald, and today we're going to fulfil a request from Diane Quillette. Hope I've said that right. And this was when we did the question and answer session, and she asked us if we could give our top 10 tips for working faster. So it depends really where you are. So I'm assuming you might be in a shop or you might be working at home, but we're going to run through them. So we'll roughly run through them, and then we'll come back and go and look at them in more detail. So the first one, be tidy. Second, layout. Third one, avoid distraction. Fourth one, prioritize. Fifth, know your timings. 6, gather everything you need. 7, avoid people. That sounds really bad. 8, be methodical. 9, don't reinvent the wheel. And 10, reduce offerings at peak times. So let's start with be tidy. Now I used to have a shop in Dundee, and we had a lovely lady called Anita who worked with us, and she came from Latvia, and she really just worked and worked and worked, and the place was so tidy because she just kept tidying things up. We knew where everything was. She even labelled the boxes that things were in. Things were pre-prepared, and it was just an absolute joy. So in general, I think if you are tidy or can be tidy, then essentially you feel more professional, you feel more organised, and that's a great place to start. Second one I put was layout. So you need to think about the layout in lots of different ways. So if you think about the shop, for example, you want to think about the front of the shop, the back of the shop, and you want to think about the flow that goes through the shop. So when a customer comes in, do they have an easy journey to the counter? Are they able to see things clearly? Is it easy for goods to come in? Is the product easy to place, easy to see, easy to buy? And also things like waste. Is it easy to actually have your waste production and get rid of that waste, or is it an absolute problem storing it, removing it? You have to think of all these things. So layout can really aid the speed of how you work, and it's definitely worth having a look at every aspect and looking at it in detail and deciding, are you doing things in the best way? And even every couple of years, just reevaluate, are you doing things in the best way now? So third, we've got avoid distraction. Mobile phones, your friends popping in for a coffee, the television, if you've got a television, or thinking about going to the pub. All these things are not going to help you work fast. You're going to be pulled in different directions, and that's not going to happen. So number 4, you need to then look at your work and how you want to prioritize it. So which orders need done first? Which ones are high value? Or you're looking at your flowers and thinking, well, I need to make these ones first because I don't want to run out of a certain product. So you need to put things in a logical order at the start of the day or the start of the week and work to that. And that leads on to know your timings. So with deliveries, this one needs delivered before 11 a.m. But do you know how long it takes to make a certain item? So if you're making a hand tie, does it take 12 minutes? Does it take 20 minutes? And actually, if you're a team of people, do you work to the average, or do you work to the speed of the slowest person? The only danger I would say with that is you really want people to learn to speed up and to work in a more efficient way over a period of time. So it's okay when they're starting out and they're a beginner and it takes a little bit of time to put something together. You want them to take the time and the care to do that. But as they mature and they're doing, they've been there a longer time, you really want them to go a little bit faster. So there should be that knowledge of how long it takes to make a wreath, or how long it takes to make a hand tie, how long it takes to make a wedding bouquet, or table centres. If you're going to be dealing with wedding work, you really need to know, when do I have to start this? How long am I going to do this? So personally, I used to leave, like say, the wedding bouquet maybe till the morning of the wedding, but I'd try and have everything else done. And I would know that wedding bouquet might take me 40 minutes to an hour. And then I could just get in nice and early, no distractions, and do it then. And that was a really good way of doing it. So then we get on to, you're actually going to make things. So you want to gather everything you need. Now that sounds obvious, but there's nothing worse than being halfway through a hand tie and then you need to go and get some greenery, but then that greenery needs some lower leaves stripped off. So you want to not only gather your product, but get it all organised and get the leaves stripped off, everything nicely laid out in a logical manner, and even the bit of string to tie the bouquet off. And a good tip actually is to have a bucket of water on your desk or where you're working, that you can, if you're making something and you could work from the bucket, or you can put the finished item into a bucket, and that means if you do get pulled away, the flowers are still in good condition. So be organised at your workstation. Number 7, I said avoid people. Well, that sounds really bad, but from my experience of working in a shop, it's quite hard to avoid people in a shop environment. The phone's going, customers are coming in the door, delivery person wants to know what's going where. And actually, if you're planning on that day needs 2 people to do the day, the reality is it might be better to just say, right, this specialist work, like a wedding, I'm going to stay behind and do it and have no distractions when I do it. So the advantage of that is you're not pulled in different directions and you'll get it done a lot quicker. So if you're trying to do it in the shop, you're more likely to make mistakes. It's going to take you 3 hours, and if you stay late, you're going to do it all in an hour and a half, make less mistakes, and you'll be totally concentrating on that item that you're making or those things that you're preparing. So avoid people. It doesn't mean that you don't like people. Be methodical. So think of the way that things are made. So like a hand tie has a logical progression, like you read the order, you gather your materials, you lay them out, you strip off any bottom leaves, and then you put it together in a certain way. So if you think about the whole method, be methodical. If there's a way of making a coffin spray or a wedding bouquet, just follow that method. You really don't need to do it any other way. If you start to do in the wrong order, that's not going to help. You're going to end up having to solve a problem. And that leads on to don't reinvent the wheel. People have done hundreds of bouquets, hundreds of funeral sprays, hundreds of wedding bouquets, hundreds of gifts arrangements, and the difference is it depends what products you use. So if you use summer material, you're going to get a different effect to in the winter when you're using material that's available then. So the look is going to change depending on the materials you choose, but the method of pushing that wheel is still the same. So don't, like say you make a corsage, don't think how am I going to make this to make it absolutely unique. The uniqueness will come from the materials that you choose rather than from trying to think of a better way of doing it necessarily. Now, I'm not saying that you can't come up with great ideas, but if you're needing to be fast, that's not the time to do it. And when you're really pushed and you're under pressure, sell the things that you're fast at and good at rather than a whole load of things that are complicated or you're not quite so sure of. You're going to work faster if you know what you're doing and you've done them before and you can just push them out. So another element of don't reinvent the wheel is bundle things together. So if you're looking at your work day and you've got 15 hand ties, start with the big ones, start with the middle, well, go with the middle ones, then go on to arrangements. And what to do is, with hand ties, if you've got, say, 5 at £30, you could give them all the same contents if they've not stated a preference. So you're, instead of having to think of new contents every single time, you can literally make 5 the same because they're actually going to be delivered in 5 different directions. And the customer won't mind, they won't know, but it's a lot easier for you. In fact, you can actually go and gather the contents for 2 or 3 bouquets at the same time, and they're right beside you. You've got them in water and you just work. So less walking backwards and forwards comes back to layout, but it will save you time. So even just having the water at your station for finishing off, that is saving you another journey to sink and coming back. So layout, methodical, it all adds up to making things really fast. And number 10, it's not going to apply to everyone. When I had my own business, we found peak periods are always very challenging, and what we did to make things fast was we reduced our offering at peak times. So what do I mean? Instead of letting the customer come in and order anything they wanted, literally on the day or the day before, what we did was we created a range of items that we thought would appeal to people at that time. So if it was Valentine's Day, maybe there was 10 offerings at different price points, and we would work out roughly what numbers we thought we could do with them. We would make them up in advance, we would photograph them, and we would make like a poster that we could show to customers. So people could order anything they wanted. It didn't have to be these items, but they had to order a week in advance if it was off the list. But this really made, the limited range really made things fast, because you know exactly how many of each item you're making up. You can easily order the products that you need for that. You can buy in your sundry materials well in advance as well, so that was a good thing as well. And then you can actually start making up orders from the flowers as they come in. Like say the peak event's on a Saturday, flowers come in on a Wednesday. You can start on Thursday after everything's conditioned to make up those orders. But you're making up the products, not the orders. You're still probably waiting for the orders to come in. But we just found that that was fantastic. So come Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, we were going out the shop at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Other shops were phoning and saying, oh, when are you going to finish work? And we're saying, well, we've kind of finished. We've just been literally carding stuff that we've made and putting them into delivery routes. And they were still having to make things, and probably from a range that covered a full range. So they didn't even know if they'd ordered the product that was going to necessarily fit all the orders they would get. So a limited range at peak times we found really worked very well. So let's just recap. Be tidy, assess your layout in the shop, in your workstation, on your desk, lay out everywhere. Avoid distractions. Prioritise what needs done first. Know your timings. If you don't know how long it takes you to make a wedding bouquet, you could end up really being in trouble. Gather everything you need, including the bit of string. Avoid people nicely, and that's literally by either going in early or staying a little bit later. No distractions, it's an absolute joy. You can even put your favourite background music on. Work methodically, be methodical. That also kind of goes in layout, but it actually translates into how you work. Don't reinvent the wheel, and if you're in a busy shop environment, then maybe think about limiting your range. Not saying no to people, but just asking them to pre-order a week before, and then you can order your pre-order stuff for those customers. But people who leave it to the last minute, they can get a choice based on your knowledge of what they would probably want at different price points. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. We've really enjoyed, like from the question and answer session, just doing something that is like an add-on to actually flower videos. So we hope you're enjoying them. We've been given quite a few suggestions, so we're going to try and keep going with the Friday video, and we hope that you tune in and keep with us. So stay safe everyone, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Bye!